Welcome to the Wealth Defenders with Terry Cox. Consumer advocate Bruce Rosenblum here with you as well. It's the show about money, getting your money right, getting your financial freedom so you can have the retirement that you've always dreamed about. Here with Terry Cox, nearly 20 years of financial experience. He knows how to get your money right, and I am so thrilled to be on the show with him today. Terry, how we doing?
Good, Bruce. Good to be with you. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a great day. Coming off of a really good show last time. Today, I understand we're talking about IRAs. I mean, everybody really is talking about IRAs these days, right?
Yes, absolutely. Very important piece to the puzzle.
It's so important. And I know that people watching might have one. Maybe people watching are trying to get another one. Maybe people are just confused by them. I know I sure am. But to those who are watching, don't worry. We know you got questions, and we're going to have this conversation right now so we can clear some stuff up for you so you can get your money right with these IRAs. Because, Terry, isn't it easy to do the wrong thing with these?
It is very easy to do the wrong thing with these, particularly when it comes to rolling over. If you ever leave a job, if you ever change jobs, you retire, and you're moving out of that company plan into an IRA, that's where some serious mistakes can be made for sure. I think I talked about a little bit earlier. Did you see the article in Yahoo Finance that talked about the big black hole with the IRA rollovers?
I did see that article, and what an article that was, talking about people leaving lots of money on the table, committing these fatal mistakes with IRAs, and you're leaving money on the table, and it's a lot. It's not a little bit.
Oh no, it's amazing. I'm going to reference this story a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So this study was done by Vanguard. So Vanguard is a money manager. You've probably seen their funds in retirement plans somewhere along the way. Yes. So a big company, they know a lot about what's going on. But they did a study of people who are rolling over their IRAs they're rolling their 401ks into IRAs.
401ks into IRAs.
Into IRAs, and the money ends up unintentionally going into cash and just staying in cash. So they talk about this one lady coming out of college. She had a great job, a high-paying job, and she managed to save $200,000 in her retirement plan.
It's a lot of money.
So that's a lot of money. Yeah. So she leaves her job, she rolls into an IRA, and it goes into cash, and it sits there for like 25 or 30 years. She's in her late 50s, early 60s, doing some retirement planning, and sits down with an advisor, and they find out that this money has been sitting in cash for 2.5 decades. That's amazing. So you're familiar with the rule of 72?
Let's talk about that, because I'm a little fuzzy when it comes to that one.
Okay. This is a very simple trick to kind of figure out where your dollars are at and what they should be.
Okay.
So if you take the number 72 and you divide into it your average rate of return, the answer is going to give you, or the answer represents the number of years it takes for your investment to double. So for easy math, if we divide 7 into 72, the answer, 10.2, is the number of years it takes your investment to double. So you think about 2.5 decades of $200,000 sitting there. You could have gone to 400, then to 800, then it's north of $1 million. She did the right thing. She had the money. She didn't touch it. She let it sit there, but it was in the wrong thing.
And I'm curious, did the advisor tell her about that? Because I can only imagine how she would have felt if that revelation was made known. God,
that would have been a horrible conversation for sure.
Yeah, right. In that case, it's what you don't know that can't hurt you. But good Lord, to leave like $1 million on the table because you just didn't do one simple thing way back when you had that liquidity. Oh God.
Yeah. So this study goes on to say that 68% of investors who roll their 401ks into an IRA end up holding in cash unintentionally.
68%.
That's a huge number.
Wow.
So when you think about that, when you're, let's talk about that and kind of unpack that a little bit. So when you're in a 401k plan or whatever your employer sponsored plan is, those assets that you invest in are designated for that specific plan.
Okay.
So when you leave, they're not going to move those assets into your new IRA. They're going to sell those assets and they're going to move cash.
Yeah.
So that's why, we kind of hammer the point of why it's important to work with a financial advisor. That's reason A right there, to make sure that money gets reinvested when it comes in. So you're not in this situation where you're just sitting in cash for, a long, long time. That could be crippling to your retirement.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do we avoid making this fatal mistake of not investing your rollover funds promptly? And I think the best advice here is to meet with somebody who knows about this stuff, because I didn't know about this. And I know some people out there don't know about this either.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? If you don't want to work with an advisor indefinitely, just hire one to walk you through the rollover process, just to make sure that those dollars get invested somewhere. So you think about 68%. Yeah, that's a big number. So that means that people, 7 out of 10 people. So somebody somewhere watching this podcast right now is in that predicament. Yeah. So please, if you think you're in that position, you're in that position, or you just have questions, please give us a call. We can walk you through that one, and let's avoid that mistake.
That's right. Talk about defending your wealth right here. That's a fatal mistake right there, not investing your rollover funds promptly. Make sure you do that out there. But I'm seeing that we have some other fatal mistakes here. We've talked about, there's 4 more that we talked about before the show. And let's talk about another one. Ignoring the required minimum distributions. Can you tell us a bit more about this mistake that a lot of people out there might be making later in the game?
Yes. So once you get into retirement, some people are in a situation where they've got this money saved in their IRA and they don't really need it. But at some point, at age 73, you are required to take a minimum distribution from that account.
And that's withdrawals right there.
Withdrawals, yep. So Uncle Sam wants you to take some money out of that account so he can tax it. And
can't get away from it, God.
You can't get away from it. So if you miss that, so let's say this is the year that you turn 73, you need to take a minimum distribution and you don't do it. When you get into tax season, you're going to be penalized. And that number now is 25%.
25%. They take 25% out of your cut.
Yes.
Oh my.
That's just the penalty. That's in addition to the taxes.
Oh, so you get the taxes on top of that 25% then?
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to make sure that you don't miss that one. That could be a fatal mistake as well.
Yeah, that's like flushing your money down the toilet. I mean, you've accumulated this little nest egg, and then all of a sudden you don't take it out, and the government says, "Hey, we're going to take a quarter of that because you didn't withdraw." That's absurd, but I guess that's the world we live in right here.
For sure. So again, coming back to the point that it's really, really important to talk with a financial professional that can walk you through your distributions. And if you're in that situation, you've already done what you're supposed to do. You've worked, you've saved, you've grown, you've got this nest egg. Don't give extra dollars away that you don't have to.
100%. Defend your wealth.
Defend your wealth.
It's not about what you earn, it's what you can keep. What you can keep at the end of the day. So we're trying to maximize what you can keep here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this, because the rollover thing, that's a big deal. Don't leave money on the table that you could be making late in the game. Make sure you take the money out too when it's time, so you don't get penalized by the tax man. Mm-hmm. What else should people be doing here? Because these mistakes, I mean, these are big deals here.
Yeah, the other thing that we see, I'm sure you've heard of the Roth conversion. So you can convert your IRAs to Roth IRAs. However, it can be a great idea, but that is a taxable event. So the amount of dollars that you convert into Roth that's a taxable event, because you got a tax break in the year that you made the contribution. You save tax free. Now, ideally, you're in a lower tax bracket as you're taking money out.
Sure.
But what you have to be careful of is if taxes are an issue and you're trying to lower your tax rate or avoid them altogether.
Oh yeah.
You need to be careful of where your current adjusted gross income is today, because if you're close to the next tax bracket and you do a conversion and you do a number that's big enough to kick you into the next tax bracket,
right,
that's going to be detrimental to your Social Security. It's going to affect your Social Security and your Medicare for the next 12 months. So you need to be aware of that as well. So what we do with our clients is we, if they're going to consider a Roth conversion, we have them bring in their tax returns, and we see what tax bracket they're in, and now we know how far away from the next tax bracket that we are, and then we can make sure that we just convert enough to stay under the next tax bracket.
See, I was going to ask about that. How do you help clients make sure they're not going to fall into that trap? But you just let me know. You have people bring in their tax returns, and you look at those so you know with no question that they're not going to hit that limit right there. And that's key information that most people don't even realize.
Yeah. And there's other things that float around out there. And I'll tell you a story that happened to a client in our office a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
He was a guy that he started working with me shortly after he retired. And we got along great right out of the gate. And we had some detailed conversations. I thought I knew everything about him and what he had. We knew how much he was withdrawing every year. We knew what tax bracket. We knew everything. So one day he comes strolling in my office and he has a check made out to him for $75,000. And I said, "So where did you get this?" Well, it turns out he was buying savings bonds when he was working, and you buy those for basically you buy them for like 50% of face value, and then they mature over time. Well, he had stuck these in a safety deposit box, and they had all matured, and they weren't paying him interest anymore. So he says, "Hey, I'm going to cash them in and bring them down and put them in another account to earn some interest."
Sure. Well,
that kicked him into the next tax bracket and affected his situation for the next year: Social Security, Medicare. So there's when we're talking about this type of planning, that's why it's so important to disclose everything, because even something as benign as a bond, you don't even think that that's going to kick you into the next tax bracket. That has huge consequences.
Sure. And this seems like a big deal, especially for people with high net worth, because they might be on the cusp of an even greater tax bracket and not even know about that. So it really behooves them to learn these things so they're not getting penalized.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Now, so we covered the Roth IRA conversion, which is a big deal. We covered not investing rollover funds promptly and also not taking out the distributions as well. What are some other big mistakes here?
Well, you just want to, I think at the end of the day, you just want to be aware of your tax situation.
Okay.
You want to be aware of what's lying there if you make conversions.
Okay.
You just need to talk through that entire situation just to make sure that nothing unintended pops up. That's what we're trying to avoid, is unintended consequences.
That's very critical. Now, I've heard things about prohibited transactions as far as IRAs are concerned, but I'm not quite sure what that means. Could you flesh that out a little bit for our listeners and our viewers out there?
Yeah, sometimes people want to get into like real estate or precious metals or gold, things like that. So it depends on how those are structured, whether you can have them in your IRA or not. And if you end up picking up something that can't be held in your IRA, you're going to be penalized there as well.
Understood. Okay. So for the real estate investors out there, that's a big deal. And this situation can be very, very complex. In fact, it's so complex we could do multiple shows on it, but I know we're up on time here. If people have questions about this situation or any other situations we talked about here, they can get a hold of you, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a number here, but you can also visit our website, www.tdc.tomdavidcharlie.financial. There's no .com, no .net, just tdc.financial. There's other information on the website. Feel free to call the office. And every week we set aside a few appointment slots for our listeners in case they want to call in and come in and sit down with us for a few minutes. So call us. Let's sit down and talk and get to know each other a little bit and make sure we can avoid some of these pitfalls with you.
Right on. Love that. Details on the screen. Check out Terry Cox. He's got your back when it comes to everything money. Like, comment, and subscribe. That's all for this week on The Wealth Defenders. We're looking forward to seeing you on the next program.
All right. Thanks, Bruce.
Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as complete analysis of subjects discussed. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice, but are limited to the dissemination of general information. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the options presented. Encompass More Asset Management is registered as an investment advisor with the SEC and only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration with the SEC does not imply a certain level of skill or training.